Hey, welcome to the podcast, Braxton.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate you having me, Asher.
Did I say your first name correctly?
The easiest way to remember how to say it is like Winston.
Hmm.
That's my dad's name.
Okay.
Brad Stun.
Bradston. Got you.
Yeah,
As soon
yeah.
as I said it, I was like, there's no K in there.
Don't worry. It just depends on people. It's like Bradston, Brangston, Branston, and it'll flow. It's just like,
No.
when you're speaking really quickly, it's just like whatever
Yeah, it's like
Brandon.
just take the time to learn someone's name. I think other times people just like to make stuff up and just like, oh yeah, that's your name, right? It's
That
like,
works.
that's not my name. That's not my name. But to introduce you to the audience, for anyone who doesn't know you, who do you say you are?
Man, I am marvelously mediocre. That's what I tell. That's me. I'm just Bradston. I'm here. I'm a Jamaican born. Well, Jamaican born in the U.S. but of Jamaican descent. Southern guy who is all things creative. I just love the creative realm,
Mm.
and tech. That's me. But I'm marvelously mediocre. I do good at a lot of things, but never better than that.
So are you saying like you do well enough to get by?
Yeah, you know how I like to say it when I was in high school, I
What's that?
ran cross country
Hmm.
and I was the fastest person on the junior varsity and the slowest person on varsity.
Mm.
I always make it to the varsity team, but I'm like, we'll cut you anytime.
Hmm.
Just slow down a little bit. You know,
So great.
you know. So
Well, tell me a little bit about how you grew up because I didn't know that you had Jamaican parents.
Yeah, yeah. I was born in New York, upstate New York, and I have an older brother, older sister. Both my parents are Jamaican, and after my dad, he used to work at Kodak. If anybody remembers Kodak, well, I guess they still technically exist, but in the film, that engineering department, and they had, digital film came, and Kodak had it moved, and my father got impacted by that. We moved down to the South. So
Mm.
I grew up most of my life, starting around 4 or 5 in Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Okay.
From the mountains of Stone Mountain, from those who know the MLK speech. But so yeah, I grew up in the east side of Atlanta, a mix of, African American culture and Jamaican culture. As I mentioned, my dad was an engineer,
Mm.
and so I became very tech oriented early
Mm.
on in life. Love building things, breaking things, and yeah, I had a very, I'd say, diverse upbringing. I mean, I grew up around mostly people of color, but I got a chance to meet a lot of different types of colors,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. Different people from African cultures, Caribbean cultures, South American cultures. It was a very it was a good upbringing where I learned a lot.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've always been just this guy, I guess.
Gotcha. And I guess for you, that was pretty common, like being in the Atlanta area, you've got a good mix of everybody.
Yeah, yeah, Atlanta's definitely a melting pot to the max. I mean, of course, you have your pockets of
Right,
like,
right.
where different cultures are, but and my mother, she worked in the like nursing space,
Okay.
and for whatever reason, that's a very multicultural, nationality space.
Hmm.
So that also introduced me to a lot of different people,
Cool.
different different
I guess
backgrounds.
it's interesting, like me, I grew up in North Georgia for the main part, like Cameroonian descent, born in Cameroon, moved to the US at 7, and then got like grew up in Dalton about like fifth grade on through high school, and then came to Marietta where I met you. But like Dalton in comparison to Atlanta is much different, where it's like population is mostly Hispanic, white, and then black is the minority with like a
Mhm.
smaller minority of others with maybe like some Asian, some um like a little bit of everywhere, whether you're from Pakistan, Palestine, like just different
Oh
areas
wow.
like that. So like coming to Marietta at Spusu and where I met you eventually at church was like it was it was interesting being in somewhere that was smaller, like not a giant school, but like still like that multicultural effect, which is
Hmm.
like, okay, like I'm seeing different black people. Obviously, like I've seen other black people through family and family friends where it's like you meet someone that's from the same country or someone that's from
Yeah.
another country that you never been to or had never been to, but is interesting. Like
Yeah,
what
I didn't know you were Cameroonian, but I could, it's like I could sense that energy, but
right,
I'm always like, I'm not gonna bother
play
nobody
cool.
because people are like, "Where are you from?" They always ask me, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Hey, man." So, but I totally feel what you're saying. Yeah.
Got you. Well, I mean that makes more sense now because it's like you have this very infectious personality, and that's one of the things I really appreciated about the church that we first went to, where it was like my first church in college, and like moving away from home, and then going somewhere where you have people where it's like this good mix of everyone that's excited to be there, and
Yeah.
just like the kindness that people always show you in church is like, okay, like I like these guys. I can hang out with them outside of classes where at Spusu, like our focus was just like to your same effect. Like I guess I'm curious what I'm trying to like share with you in this conversation, but also remember to default back to you to
No,
be
absolutely.
like what brought you to like did you go to Kennesaw first?
So I when I was so it was very interesting when
Hmm.
I was growing up in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Uh, I was went to school like um so we had there's a school near
Hmm.
where I lived,
Okay.
but for whatever reason it wasn't up to snuff,
Okay.
as some would say. And at the same time, there's a program called M&M, Majority to Minority, happening in Atlanta.
Hmm.
And I was kind of a part of that program. I was in the magnet program. Long story short is I was bused basically from where I lived in Stone Mountain to Chamblee, Georgia,
Oh,
which is like north, about 45 minutes north
yeah.
of Stone Mountain, and 2 hour bus ride from fourth grade till I graduated from high school. I was
Oh
getting
wow.
bused, to other schools. Well, not just Chamblee, but other areas as well. And the high school I went to, Chamblee
Hmm.
High School, it was kind of sort of a feeder school into tech. Like there was
Okay.
quite a few people who graduated, and for those who are not familiar with tech, Georgia Institute of Technology, so when I was applying for school, and
Hmm.
like I was saying earlier, I was tech minded, engineering. My
Right,
dad was
right.
engineer, and I was like, this is a no brainer. So yeah, I got into tech. I
Hmm.
did have a desire to go to Morehouse,
Okay.
HBCU Morehouse, to do the program, the dual program. It was like 3 years in Morehouse and then 2 years at Tech,
Okay.
but I couldn't afford that option.
Yeah.
So Tech was I got into Tech, and it took me 5 years, just
I
every semester, but I got
yeah.
out.
So I guess the dream was, I guess the goal was tech, and then you got in first try
Yeah,
undergrad, and then you just went 5 years and went through it.
yeah. Because I
Gotcha.
considered Southern Poly.
Okay.
That was like on the list. I was like, well, like, but I didn't know what Kennesaw really was. I knew it was a
Mm,
place, but
right, right.
I fell in love with Atlanta's campus, Georgia Tech's campus in Atlanta, and I was blessed enough
Gotcha.
to be able to get in. So I was like, let's go.
Nice. And I guess what did you decide to study?
So I studied mechanical engineering.
Oh man.
As Yeah,
You
yeah.
got into
So
the thick of it, huh?
yeah, it was painful. It was painful. It made me stronger.
Yeah. I that
Did
that's the only thing. Some people are be like, well, either this is where your dreams come to die, or you learn a lot more about yourself and you become more of an adult kind of coming out of it.
Yes, you learn really quickly. Oh, no, I'm I'm really not that smart, And I've always, like I said, I've always been marvelously mediocre, so I've never been like a straight A student. I've never been the top of my class. I've always been just good enough to like
Mhm.
get on like the basic honors level, like basic, the like just the cutoff.
Yeah.
So I felt like going to tech, meeting people who were just like, this is going to be the next Bill Gates, the next whatever.
Mm.
But I'm not on that level. I appreciate them.
Yeah.
We could be cool. But yeah, tech just it taught me a lot about myself. And
Gotcha.
yeah, so shout out to my alma mater. And you went to tech. You,
Yeah,
you
yeah. I,
graduated from
I
there, like
transferred
so.
in and
Yeah,
got out
so
as well. I was like 2.5 years, and that's it. We're in and out. Like,
yep, it's like
get
let's
out
get
of
out
there.
of
And
here.
it was the same thing about 5 years. And like during that time, opportunity to do like a co-op. And I was like, I kind of appreciated it. And that
Mhm.
job probably taught me more things about myself than anything else, where it's like, hey, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to just hand you a job. It's like you've got to change your approach, and then you got to show up for the career fair,
True.
even if it means missing a class or take notes from somebody else to be able to study and like manage your time and effectively. It's like, okay, well, this is it. The final semester, you're either gonna make it or not make it.
And so, what did you study in undergrad?
Civil.
Civil. Oh,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
hey, this
So
that's
we're on
no
the other
joke, man.
side.
That's next level too. Like, whew, shout out to civil engineers because I would see some of y'all's work and homework. I'm like, nope.
That's dope.
So yeah.
But it's I hope I'm not I hope I'm not confusing how we met, because like did you go to the church that was like up in the Marietta? So like
Yeah.
what got you up that way?
Yeah, so I think you're talking North River, I
Yeah, that's
believe,
what it
right?
was called.
Yeah.
The name kept escaping me.
Yeah, so I mean, I like I was saying earlier, I knew nothing about Marietta, Canada. Like that, this is a whole
Mm,
dark zone in my life, east
gotcha.
side of Atlanta. That's all I knew. Maybe a little bit of north, a little bit of south.
Right, right.
But yeah, I grew up going to church and stuff like that. But like once I went to college, to be super honest with you, I was like, and I'm done. Um,
I
so
had a
uh,
similar thought.
you know. And God had looked down on me and said, "Hey, help this young little knucklehead out." And there's very long story short, it's kind of funny you mentioned the co-op, but I met a person at a co-op who gave me some perspective on faith and
Okay,
God, and I started searching like on my
gotcha.
own, and then I encountered probably the same group of people. We all got to hang around like
Right, right,
young people who studying the Bible, reading the Bible, who are just real people and yeah, and then I was like, okay, I guess I'll go to church with y'all. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not I'm if it's kind of hard to describe, but if you knew me, I'm like an introvert, a social introvert. So
You?
like I like kicking it with people, but I get tired. So I kick it with them. I go to like, the little Bible talk and I'd be like, man, I'm not trying to hang out with y'all no more. But it worked out and yeah, long story short is I started going to church with everybody and yeah, some of my best friends that I've in my life, are, from that period of time in my life and
Right,
still connect with them. So
gotcha. Sorry, I had to make sure I turned off this phone alarm. Otherwise, it was going to be ringing. I was like,
yeah.
oh. But that makes sense. It's funny because I wasn't. I guess I'm thinking to myself, I'm not trying to shoehorn North River meetup too much, but I was like, oh yeah, because if it wasn't for Kojo, like I would have
Mm.
never gone and met you guys and everything like that. But like Nia and I went to high school. He was a year
Oh,
ahead of me.
really? I didn't
And
know
it's
that.
like I learned about Southern Poly through him. And I was like, okay, I'll check this out. Having done like some technical electives in high school, it was like, okay, civil engineering seems like this neat thing. Maybe I'll get to do a little bit of CAD work. And then
Mm.
you do a drafting class. And then we did like a survey class. Every now and then, like each class seemed to build on itself. And I liked the practicality of it. So having done Bible studies with me back in high school, whereas like me, and two other friends, we would meet up just on our own, unprompted Friday nights. It was like,
Oh,
oh, this
wow.
is cool. And like getting to meet you guys was like, oh, this is cool too. And eventually it was like from going there and then trying to explore other places, I was trying to figure out the same thing of like, okay, why am I doing this? Or like, what's the, okay, like, is it, and I mean, it eventually, I guess I won't get into like why I left, but just meeting different people in college and things like that, you're definitely exposed to like everyone has their own
Hmm.
convictions about things. And I was like, yeah, I think I love God, but at the same time, I got to the point to where I was like, I'm not gonna start skipping class to come to church. It's like I think I can do both, but the
Yeah.
way somebody was talking to me one time, I was like, I
No.
don't know about that. It's like, yeah, I don't think God wants me to do this. And I'm like, oh, you're one of those people that's going to start
Mm,
saying,
mm,
this thing I secretly want to do or don't want to do, so long as I say God told me, then that's
mm.
going to be my justification. And I was like, yeah, I can't afford to do that. Like, I'll be happy to. I'm here in school. The first semester didn't get the Hope Scholarship, so it like kind of talking to that mediocrity part. I can understand that, but like
Yeah,
trying to be battle your way out, and you're like, okay, hey, there's an opportunity for me to be able to pay for school. I'm going to make sure that's coming in. Otherwise, it's like you're going to take a whole bunch of loans and then hope you get a job to pay it back real quick. So
yeah,
nothing's ever
yeah.
guaranteed in that sense.
No, I mean I totally respect that, and I definitely know the energy you're talking about,
Yeah.
and looking back on different times and being like, yeah, like people need to chill out a little bit, sometimes. And I think one thing going to tech that taught me about just kind of managing my spiritual life and also like just other aspects is sometimes what your walk and what your love for God, whatever that may be, looks different for different people at
Right.
different stages in your life. And going to tech, like it's just not like sometimes, I mean, I remember a week
Mhm.
where I had three tests,
Mhm.
two project presentations, a lab report,
Let them know.
and and like something else, like a quiz. And I was like, Lord help me. I'm like, I'm sorry, y'all not gonna see me for a little bit. So yeah, you weren't about to tell me like, hey, you have to do this. I'm like, hey, I absolutely would love to do it, but I
Mhm.
think in this case, this is what God is calling me to do, to
Right.
actually get my homework done so that I
Right.
can get out of this horrible place. No, I'm kidding, not
Right. Right.
horrible, but you know what I mean.
Hey, the struggle is real. We went
Yes,
through it, and
yes.
it's like years later, it's like, okay, like having gone back a couple of times with some alumni friends, it's like
Mhm.
we appreciate it. It's like we
Yeah,
like the renovations and things like that that have
yeah,
been done, and being able to go back. I thought this year might be different, but I think we kind of came back around to, hey, why break a good tradition we've done 3 years in a row? Like pick a
oh
tech
cool.
game, go back, visit for the weekend, hang out with the guys, and it's like, hey, it's a good thing being able to walk the same grounds and kind of be like, oh man, I remember that that
Yeah.
one time I was in the library for like the all-nighters back to back to back. And it's like you recall the stories like it
Mhm.
was yesterday. And it's almost been like, man, it's been 10 years since we
Yeah,
graduated. It's been like time just kind of goes on, and like they're all raising kids now. And it's like, yeah, I could see my kids coming here. And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, it's not bad. Like, it definitely forged us into stronger people.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because my current job, I travel quite a bit, and and I generally work with educational institutions
Mm,
in my role. And one of the things that I had to do was a hackathon. I had to go to a hackathon at Georgia Tech,
okay.
and it was so weird because I hadn't been there in a few years.
Yeah.
I live in North Carolina now. I lived in Louisiana for a while,
Okay.
so it's like I would visit, but it'd been a while. It'd been the longest probably stint I hadn't been there. And I was like, it's still tech. It's the
Yeah.
same campus. And then when you get into the middle of campus, I was like, what is this building? What is this statue? What is going, it looks so nice.
Right.
And then chatting with students and, I was like, oh yeah, I graduated, I had an alumni. Really? You graduate? Like, it's like, you did it. It's possible. It's always
Right.
funny.
There's
It's like,
hope.
yeah. And just kind of sharing, my story and just kind of knowing where they're at in the
Yeah.
midst of it, in
Mhm.
different places. It was I don't know. I like you said, like I don't regret my decisions.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think to myself, I wish I had gone to SPUSU first, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't regret my time there. Like you said, oh, I remember this building where I studied for 18 hours. Oh, I remember this building where I cried myself to sleep. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
It's like you
Hey,
you
hey,
you're
I might, you might say he didn't, but I think I came close a couple of times where it's like,
yeah.
oh, that's almost where my dreams went to die.
Yeah, this is where I almost broke. But it pushed you and you forged forward. And I will say this, I think I've heard a lot of alumni say this, like a lot of things are a bit easier now. Like
Mm.
now I'm like, yeah, nothing will ever be that intense and like in
Yeah.
one period of time. So I feel equipped to accomplish most anything that I put my
Gotcha.
mind to, you know.
Definitely had some close calls where it's like, ooh, okay. This is not about to break me. It's like, I'm sorry. Like
Exactly.
I've
Not
been there,
today.
done that. Not today. Not today. So I guess I'm kind of curious, going back to when you were at Tech and having the mentality that you really had a self-awareness about you where you're like, I know where I'm at. I can hang out with the varsity folks, but I know that here's where I kind of like rise to the cream of the crop. What was it like going through the classes and curriculum for you? Like what was that experience like? Did you gravitate towards a certain group or like did you kind of like steer away from others to just be like, "Hey, I'm not going to sit here and try to go neck and neck with someone that just gets like I gotta have the answer. Hey, it's me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look. Did I do a good job? Did I do a good job? Did I do a good job?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I think for me it was number one, I also had dealt with like social anxiety. So
hmm.
I would never raise my hand in class. Like that would never happen, first of all.
I would
So
have never pictured you as that person meeting you. It's like,
oh,
man, it is like you saying this now. I'm like, really? But
yeah,
hey,
it's hard because I'm a very social, like one-on-one,
yeah,
I'm 100% locked in. Like, let's
gotcha.
go. Like I'm having a great time. But when it gets to larger groups, I start to get a little, it's a little
Hmm.
different. And also I like a little bit of darkness and video games. Like that's
Hmm.
my vibe.
Okay.
But yeah, like at Tech, I think I was cool with like anybody who would be cool with me. Like I didn't
Yeah.
have an issue. Like I think that I love the diversity of mankind. I love the try hard, gotta win.
Hmm.
I gotta get, I get 115 on the test and that person got 105. I gotta beat them. I appreciate that competitiveness.
Hmm.
But also I appreciate the person who's like, man, I'm just trying to get by. Like I'm just doing my best. So I think I had like my place at Tech was more of a do what I need to do,
Hmm.
but get the most out of my time here. And still have a college experience to some degree. So
Yeah.
I just never wanted to neglect opportunities for the
Hmm.
sake of a grade, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. So you may know this about me, but I used to break dance,
Okay.
b-boy, for many years, and I used to lead that group, to lead the crew, and throw jams is what we call them, where we basically dance events and go to events and do performances. I found that is really important in my life. So I remember having moments where it's like, do I go to practice or do my homework? And I'm like, I can always ask for an extension of my homework, but practice bad decisions. But yeah, so I feel like I kind of just I found my place and I tried my best to do my best with what I
Hmm.
had, but I realized that yeah, I was never gonna get 100 on an exam. I was never gonna get the special invitation to do PhD level research with the professor. Like I just knew that wasn't my place. And
Hmm.
it sounds bad, like people are like, oh, don't put yourself down, but that's not how God created me.
Gotcha.
And
It's not
yeah,
something you were really seeking out, was it?
exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So yeah, so that's kind of how I flowed. I just enjoyed the moment. I tried a lot of different things. I was
Yeah.
on the radio, the
Okay.
Tech Talk, or WREK for a while. Used to do little, sometimes to get hired out to be a DJ for events for
Hmm.
clubs. I would go and I helped out with Dance Marathon, which is their dance event for charity. Like
Yeah.
whatever, if somebody asked me about something and I was available, I'd be like, let's do it. Like, why not? Like, I'm
Hmm.
here.
That's pretty neat. Because I think whenever people think Georgia Tech or like, hey, this is an engineer, they might not think or picture you just being like, hey, this is someone that's versatile. This is someone that's open, willing to try different things rather than just like, I've got this project I've got to build. I've got this machine I'm tinkering with. And that's
Yeah.
like, that's it. Like people just see a lot of like, what do they call it? Like B type personality, where it's like,
Mm.
yeah, you have the introversion, but then like you were saying, one on one, it's much different. It's open, it's energizing. But then when you're in a crowd, it's like there's a lot
No,
going on
thank
here.
you.
I don't know you people. Like I'm not really trying to like hug every single person around the room. So like I need my space at times.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like I'll say this. I do think that my time in tech
Mhm.
taught me to grow a little bit.
Mhm.
Though like there's a lot of tech-minded people, introverts like myself. We like video games, we like anime, nerd stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
I found that there's some people who taught me a little bit about how to be a bit more uh out like I'm gonna push myself to go
Mm.
hang out. Let's go to the
Gotcha.
dining hall
Right.
together. Like I
Right.
don't want to do that, but I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna do it. And I think just like anything else in life, like if you're an introvert or an extrovert, sometimes you have to like flex that muscle. It's like a workout. So
Yeah.
I feel like I grew a lot in that time. So the person that you see today is a
Hmm.
result of people like kind of pouring into me in some way. Some people from church, but also just
Right.
my general friend group and people I met.
Mm.
So yeah, I think like the Bradston pre-college is
Mm.
a different Bradston post-college.
Gotcha. That's awesome. And the hackathon that you mentioned earlier, what is that?
Yeah, so another long story that I'll make really short is after I graduated tech,
Mm.
I did mechanical engineering for a little bit, and then I decided I wanted to go a different direction.
Okay.
So I got into programming and computer science. Well, not really computer science because I'm not a computer scientist. Let me just make that real clear.
Mm.
But I can program, I can code, all that jazz. And a hackathon is basically it could be different lengths of time, but normally it tends to be from 24 to 72 hours, where a group of people come in and they create or code a project um, in that short period of time. And they're given like a theme or a prompt, like make a software that, helps people live better. And you and a small team of people have 24 to 72 hours to build that. So it's a good place to learn things, to meet people, and to try new technology. So yeah, that's kind of what a hackathon is.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, I love them. I love them.
So I guess how do you compare like getting into the coding space a little bit more so now than like when you were mechanical engineering?
Yeah, I think the mindset is pretty much the same. I think, you as a civil engineer, though I don't do you code much in your role?
Not much. Like the closest thing to coding outside of when we were mandated to do, I think it was it MATLAB?
Ah, yes.
Yeah, like
MATLAB.
MATLAB, every engineer had to do, and I
Mm.
think at Southern Poly we had to take Java. That was part of the
Okay.
prerequisite. It was like I understood the logic behind it, but it was just like the act of going through and actually like doing it to where it's like, okay, this makes sense. Like obviously 2010-ish, 2009, you're not having to search back through the code to where it's like it's a semicolon or something that's off, but it
Hmm.
at times it could be tedious, but then the way the instructors always described it or the teacher's assistants, they always made it seem simple. And I'm like, I get it, but I just want to do well enough to get out of the class and kind of move on. But like now, kind of thinking on some of those things with where AI is now, and like and doing like taking some time to the side for myself to do personal development or even looking into things like executive coaching to be like, okay, hey, how do I serve better? How do I
Mm.
understand problems that people have in order to solve them and use something like AI language models to optimize what I'm doing instead of being like, hey, let me write this paragraph. Like you're sitting there and probably one of my favorite class in college was English 101, where it's like everything I thought I was supposed to learn in high school that I kept being told I was supposed to know, I was actually taught. And then it's
Mm.
like not only learning how to structure an argument, but write in a way that tells a story that helps express a point in 300 to 400 words. And like you were talking about those weekly assignments where it's like, okay, I don't know if I can come up with 400
Yeah.
words, but it's like you've got a topic and you've got a thing and you're like working through that. Like maybe now you can do it through AI more so, but at least the mechanics of like how you think and reason through things even helps you in knowing how to prompt something to tell it, hey, this is what I need, or act as if you are this thing. And then you can have a dialogue back and forth rather than just like you're talking to a wall. And it's like, I can't do that. I'm not programmed to do that. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, well, imagine that you could do that. And let's not worry about like the technical jargon. So like I can see the importance of it, but the long answer to your short question is that as a civil engineer, it's not done as much, but even at the site where I'm at now, I've seen them implement it at least in a closed loop to where it's like, hey, this is more secure, but at least our language model should give you access to the site. And for someone that's brand new, where it's like first year, and being able to access something to be like, hey, what can you tell me about this procedure? Here's a job that I've got coming up. And if you know anything about the nuclear industry, it's like everything is based on processes and procedures. And you can really bog yourself down or almost put yourself to sleep trying to study every single little code, whether it's like for construction, for your specific discipline, and so on and so forth. But it really helps to have something kind of draw you into exactly what you need and then just
Hmm.
come back up and have an overview of like, okay, here's where I'm going, and not get like just trapped in the weeds of like, oh, I'm trying to solve a problem and I'm running through the same solution and I'm sitting here writing page upon page upon page, and it's like I'm nowhere closer to my goals.
To the solution. And I think the reason I asked that question is because I think you said it kind of perfectly. It's like you understand the logic behind it, but
Hmm.
like the problem is the interface. It's like, oh, I know what I need to do, but how in the
Hmm.
world do I get this thing to do it?
Right.
Right? And I think that in those who have an engineering mindset, like programming, coding is like somewhat natural. I'm not gonna say natural because nothing's natural,
Hmm.
but that transition was a bit easier because it's pretty much like you said. There's certain code. Like when I was doing mechanical engineering, I was in the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning space.
Hmm.
It didn't really speak to me, but
Yeah.
the big thing that I thought was interesting was, all the different codes that you had to follow, right? Like
Right.
if this, then this.
Yeah.
If you're in Florida, then your HVAC unit has to have this type of hurricane rating,
Hmm.
and it needs to have this type of seawater coating, and
Right.
like there's like all these conditional statements
Hmm.
before you can get to your role, what your solution will be to implement this system.
Right.
And in very much the same way, that's how programming is. It's like
Yeah.
I know that I need to accomplish a certain task, but I have a set of limitations. Oh, it has to run on this system, it has to be
Hmm.
this fast, and it has to deal with customer data this way. And we have to use this framework of tools.
Right.
Now we work to the solution. And I think in the what spoke to me about it was the amount of creativity you have to get to that solution, you
Mm.
know. And that's why hackathons are interesting because you can give the same exact problem to 100 different people
Yeah.
and you will get 100 different solutions,
Right.
and to me that's like what engineering is. It's like trying to find solutions to complex problems with the
Right.
tools at hand,
Mm.
So I think in many ways, not, I've never tried to encourage people to do programming at all, but I'll just say to you, I think that if you ever decided to go that route,
Yeah.
once you get past the language barrier, literally,
Mm.
it'll be like, oh, I get
Yeah.
this.
It that makes so much sense because the thing that actually reminds me of programming more and more when I'm doing a job, like the last 3 years I spent in at a lab testing firm that focused more so on geotechnical engineering, which is one aspect of civil engineering where you're more focused on what's going on underground and making sure that the ground is strong enough to support what's going to be placed on
Mm,
top of it. And when I would do repetitive tasks or I would try to like optimize a solution or an equation, I'm like, there's something wrong with what I'm doing because it's like I already did this and it's like it's taking me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And it's like I'm either getting worse at it slightly when I first started, or it's like I'm improving. But then the time from like solving one problem to then the next problem, it's like, wait, there's a way to do this better. And like you go to the simple thing of writing formulas in an Excel spreadsheet, which is what a lot of engineering and
mhm,
it like goes to because Excel is like, okay, you do a plug and play formula if then statement, but it's like, wait, if you were to write this in an actual language, whether it's HTML or something else that already exists, like you write out like the clarity of the code or the clarity of your statement in the language is what simplifies the output or like what
mm,
the computer has to go through to give it, because it's like I could make it very convoluted where it's like if then statement, if then statement, if then statement, but then it's like, okay, set the condition, write what corresponds, and then you get the output.
Yeah,
And then
but
so long as everything checks each other and it's like I'm the one making the input, so it's ultimately on me making sure that what comes out of the machine is true. I shouldn't be completely dependent on, oh, well, it said this, so I must not know what I'm doing. It's like, no, like if it's giving me something that doesn't agree, I've got to use my mind to resolve what's going on instead of just being like, oh, okay, I got so complacent and like using a calculator now. I don't know how to do simple addition,
exactly.
subtraction, multiplication, division. And like
Yeah.
just those things, I was like, I didn't think I could stand it back then, but now it's like that's why they made us do that. And it's
A
like
hundred
it's
times.
it's coming full circle now.
And I think that's kind of, you were mentioning AI. I think that's why in certain spaces, AI is a bit difficult to implement because
Hmm.
you think to yourself, say you're working on some type of engineering project that has I'm about to use engineering terms, but like safety, you want to have a significant safety factor,
Right,
aka you want to create this system so that even if it were to quote unquote fail at its like you basically want to make it as fail proof as humanly possible. So you
right.
you add factors to create the safety higher. Anyway, for those who are
Hmm.
not engineers. But now imagine you go to an AI and you go, "Hey, I want you to help me build a bridge. It needs to have a safety factor of 10. Here are all the constraints, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
Give me an output." And it gives you an output.
Yeah.
Awesome. How did you get to that output, AI? Well, I did because I did. Well,
Hmm.
no, 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 no.
You're right.
I need you to show me your work. You know what I mean? Like going back
Right,
to
right.
school, show your work.
Yeah.
Oh, my work is what I believe it to be. I think that that's kind of like the problem with AI is trust me, bro. Right?
Hmm.
It's like I have to trust that you're going to do what I expect. But
Right,
when you have an Excel spreadsheet or you have some type of formula that you can, oh, wait, this output looks a bit strange.
right,
I can go back and follow my work to figure out what I did.
right.
Oh, I my assumption was wrong.
Hmm.
But once you abdicate those type of things to AI,
Hmm.
you can never be sure. I mean, AI will tell you whatever you want it to you want to hear. It's
Right,
like, oh yeah,
right.
the sky is black, and you're like, no, it's blue. Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize, my information was wrong. The sky's blue.
Hmm.
It'll just, So I think it's that's why I think AI, I'm going on a whole tangent,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think that like for me, and I work in that tech space quite a bit, and I always go, the human element will never be removed from the equation
Hmm.
because AI is too human in the sense that you can't read its mind,
Hmm.
and it doesn't show its work. So you're like, no, thank you.
It, what's interesting about that point, I've been listening to this guy that he's like a business nerd, so he gives business insights based on different um industries or places that he's seen shut down and just be like, okay, well, here's what I learned about this place. Like they really hedged their bets going one way. And then the very thing that made them successful was ultimately their downfall, where it's
Hmm.
like they overplayed their hand. And one of the things he was saying with like AI and tech, and maybe you can attest to this, is that a lot of people were told you need to code, like around when Obama was coming into office, like that early 2009, 2008, where it's like, okay, you have blue collar jobs were kind of going away, manufacturing went away like in the 80s, but now it's like flipped on its head where like white collar jobs are being done away with through AI models where it's like, hey, that mid manager um, role can basically be offset where you can have somebody do it. Like if you can do working from home, we can get someone overseas working remotely
Yeah.
providing the same information that this person would have been doing, making spreadsheets, putting schedules together, and things like that. As to where now it's like, okay, well, even though AI is here, it only knows so much, but you still need people that have the mindset to know, hey, this is the direction in which I need you to go to be able to steer it. So it's like at the same time, it may eliminate a lot of jobs where it's people that went into the computer science, computer programming, where it's like, okay, hey, I can write this code, but it's like, okay, well, I can prompt this to tell me, give me this code. But at the same
Hmm.
time, you need it to be able to show the work. And you can only show the work that you've done. Like if you haven't done your work, then it's like, okay, well, the machine maybe didn't do it, but hey, Brad knows what to do and how to go through this step. It might take a little bit longer, but at least like needing more people to be able to interpret what AI is doing in real time is something that's like becoming a need. And instead of like being the horse constantly running after the carrot, you've got to like
Hmm.
look at where the market's going and be able to like start seeking those things out. So it's like, oh, that's a good insight where it's like here's a bit of the bad, but then here's the what you can do about it, or here's the opportunity that comes from that.
Yeah, yeah. I always like the analogy is like we don't lament the loss of the elevator operator. The person who used to click the button and then they would go up to a certain floor, right?
Mm,
We now just go in an elevator and we press a button and it works for us. And
mm,
I think that in many ways, technology, civilization, we always move toward net new, right?
mm,
Once we get to a point where you are repeatable tasks that don't need direct human input, meaning, oh, this is gonna happen. Like all I need to do is press this and this thing will happen regardless. The
mhm,
system is like defined, refined, whatever word you want to use. That's where you need to start to be like, okay, I might need to start considering my options forward because someday some Silicon Valley,
mhm,
tech bro is gonna go, how could I make this thing work without a person involved,
mm,
right? But the thing is, you're not gonna see AI take over the creative industries or engineering industries because engineers, though they use classified formulas and classified rules, it's always to like push forward
mm.
and like yes, maintenance is important, but maintenance is just so that we can keep pushing forward. It's like so I think that it's a tough time because we're starting to see a lot of things that we presumed added value, like
Mm.
net new value,
Yeah.
we're realizing is just, oh, this is just a thing that it can be processed and it's repeatable and it doesn't need human involvement now that we've refined it. So I think if you're a person and you're sitting and you're not sure if your job is going to be replaced or what have you, like think to yourself, like if a person wasn't involved, could this just happen? Could this
Mm,
just happen and everybody would be happy, you know? Like that's kind of a very low level litmus test. But I always encourage people to like, you know, be a part of something that's always pushing forward.
mm,
And then, use the tools. Like back in the day, we used to use our hands to break things. We have
mm.
hammers now.
Right.
Like, do we really want to go back to a time where, yeah. So,
It's a good
yeah.
point. And as the years started, or it's feels like it's almost ending, but school's back, football's back. Are there
Mhm.
some things that you're looking forward to?
Yeah. So, I guess I'll share it here. You'll get to hear it amongst, but, as the so my wife is pregnant, so.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to what life brings on the other side of pregnancy.
Mm,
Like, so we have an early year. So like fall, she's gonna be primarily, growing the little one. And then
mhm,
beginning of the year, we're at it. So I think for me, um, I think I'm trying to, number one, like really accept that reality, like, oh, I'm gonna be responsible for another human being,
mm,
but also to like how can I make because for so long my life has been about me.
mm,
It's like yes, I got married a few years ago, so we started to work together. We're like partners, right? But we
mm,
still are individuals. We still do our own things. But when a little one enters the world, when a child, it's like they can't do nothing without me. So I think I'm trying to start to realize, like starting to like get my head wrapped around this idea of it's not always all about me.
mm,
And from now until quote unquote 18,
mhm.
like it's gonna be about them. And
Yeah.
so I need to start deprioritizing some things in my life. And
Mm.
so so my fall is gonna be a little bit different. Football season is gonna be going on. I'll be sitting at home like, oh my goodness. Oh but yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking about as we enter this fall season.
That's awesome. And is there anything on social media you keep up with, or anything that you want people to follow you on?
If you want to hear some lackadaisical posts about, career and game development and that kind of stuff, you can follow me on LinkedIn. It's Bradston Henry. There's only one, like it's
Yeah.
just me. If you're also interested in stories and narrative, I guess I'll give a shout out because I have a podcast
Mm.
as well.
Are you
Um,
burying the lead on me? What's going on?
Yeah, it's just something, it's kind of like it's just something me. I have a good friend. I actually think he's also an engineer. And so I think I was thinking about it as we were talking. I was like, it'd be cool to have a conversation with all three of us because I think we all
Mhm.
have similar kind of way that we're technical people. He's a person of color, but he's also a creative. But we have a podcast. It's called Semantics,
Mm.
which is theme antics. So we cover stories, we talk about, narratives in fiction, from movies to comic books to, you know, anything you could think of.
Yeah.
And so we talk about the themes that are in them, and then what we do is we try to what we call storying differently, where we try to like think of how would you approach this story, this theme, like, time travel or, you know, zombies in a very different way that hasn't been done in media. So it's very much a creative
Wow.
outlet for me and Devontae. It's a fun time. So if you're interested in fiction and the conversations around them, check out the Semantics podcast.
Awesome. I'll definitely have to check that out because
I
that's
appreciate
right
it.
up my alley. I didn't think I'd go see the Superman movie last week or the week before, but I heard someone that has a YouTube channel called Symbolic World, and the way that he describes it, and even getting his brother's book here recently about um, seeing the world in images versus
Mm,
just like the materialism. It's like it's asking two different forms of question to where you don't have to conflict. Is it like, is the Bible true or is science true? It's like
mm.
both things can be true. They're just focused on two spectrums of what we look at times. So
Yeah,
I'll
no, I
definitely have
think
to check out
stories
your
are
podcast.
stories are powerful, and not to keep religious God kind of stuff, but if you think about what Jesus did in his ministry when he was on earth, a lot of what he did was he told stories. And those stories have transcended time, and I think that and that's how culture communicates knowledge, morality, quote unquote unquote. What I mean,
Mhm.
so on and so forth.
Yeah,
So I think that understanding stories are just a complete just core bedrock of our human existence. So I think
yeah,
in the same way, it's like, yeah, story is just natural and it connects with us.
for sure. And from the first question I asked you, are you still who you said you were?
You mean all these years later?
Hmm.
You know, I have had people say this to me, and they say to me, you text the same way that you talk. And I've gotten that same feedback my since I started texting. So I'd say that I'm the same guy. I'm the same dude. Still marvelously mediocre. Just in a different stage. I still love doing diverse things. Hey, let's do it. I'm down. Let's go. Different responsibilities. Student loans still attacking me, but I think that yeah, I'm I tell people I'm the same person you see virtually, in person, anywhere. Like it's just this guy. I ain't got nothing else to show.
Yeah.
And it takes too much effort to like deceive people. I'm like, man, I'm too lazy for all that. So I think yeah, I've definitely grown. I'm a different person. But as I think Kobe said, I'm the same animal but a different beast or
Mhm.
whatever. Like I think that fundamentally I'm still me. I don't think anything is, you know, character. I think I still grow, but I'm still me. I'm still me.
Awesome. Well, it was a great time catching back up with you, Bradston, and uh, we'll have to do this again.
No, I appreciate it, Asher. It was great, Like I said, I really think like me, you, and my friend Devonta, we should get together and kick it. Like maybe we could do something together, like bring our podcast together or something. But I think we'd
For
have a
sure.
really interesting, fun conversation. Maybe we could do a podcast about engineering and
I,
storytelling, and like
I,
that'd be really fun.
I'm all open to it. It's funny because for some reason, I don't know, like storytelling, for some reason, it's something that's like kind of been sitting on my mind. And then I searched out this, or maybe it just came across my time my time feed, and it was basically someone interviewing different directors and um screenplay writers that talked about the effect of stories, and they had different documentary styles about like how they laid out a story, like something as simple as like the hero's journey, but the
Mm,
way in which they described it, I was like, huh, maybe I've heard this, but it's just hitting differently. So, and even trying to journal on a regular basis, or whenever I find the time, or looking back at my life and trying to look forward and still be in the present, it's like when it comes to setting goals, or even going to therapy, or like getting out of tech, recovering from that, so to speak, and being like, okay, what is the story that I've told myself up to this point
mm,
in my life? And then it's like, okay, you have different things from motivation, inspiration, and things like that. It's like, oh, okay, like I still have the opportunity to shape my life in the story I tell about my life to myself and to other people. So then,
mm,
like, podcasting has become an avenue to do that. And at the same time, it's like outside of recording a podcast, I'm like, oh, how I interact with people, how I decide to then take a chance or like commit. And like you're saying, for you now, it's like you'll be a father soon. And it's like, it's an idea that you get to wrestle with, but then it introduces all these other things that keep building and building on your story. And like having had met you, I'm like, oh, now you're a part of my story that I get
mm.
to also share with other people. And that it, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Just let me know whenever the time we'll set it up, like we set this one up, and then go from there.
Yeah, I love it. Let's do it. Let's do
Yes,
it.
sir.
No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
For sure. Until next time.